Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. I'm Karina and today we're doing April favorites. So okay, to be honest, it's not favorites, it's all the books I read and all the tarot decks that got in. So it's an overall overview to show you what I was up to in April. And of course, when I started to film this video, all the neighbors started to do their garden work. So I hope it's not that terrible. And yeah, let's get into the books, I would say. So I put the timestamps down below so that you can kind of go to the section you want to hear about and you're interested in. So maybe you don't want to hear about books or you don't want to hear about the tarot. So just choose what you like, and I hope you enjoy watching. So for the books, this was a heavily fantasy romance book month. That means I have read, the most books I've read are in this genre. And it's also kind of my favorite, even though I'm not that romantic in real life, and I'm not the lovey-dovey kind of person, but I really love it in books. I don't know what it is. Maybe it's just an escape or the fantasy world, how I wish everything would work out too, but yeah, you know how it is sometimes. So I will start with those two. I will put up the covers so that you can see how they look. And the first series I read is a Hades and Persephone retelling, and I'm a fan of mythology retellings. So this one was quite great. It is about Hades, god of the underworld in Greek mythology, and Persephone, goddess of spring, and they are retelling their myth, especially. And it's a love story, and it takes place in Greece, and there are all the other gods and goddesses and all the great figures you know about this pantheon. It's quite interesting. I will say it's heavy on the explicit scenes, so if you don't like that, be aware. But it also has great world building. They paint just a perfect, or you know, a romantic way of the underworld, which I know is not entirely true, but it's kind of nice for this book anyway. I will read the synopsis for you so that you can decide if this book is something you would want to read. So the first one is called A Touch of Darkness, and it says, Persephone is the goddess of spring by title only. The truth is, since she was a little girl, flowers have shriveled at her touch. After moving to New Athens, she hopes to lead an unassuming life disguised as a mortal journalist. Hades, god of the dead, has built a gambling empire in the mortal world, and his favorite bets are rumored to be impossible. After a chance encounter with Hades, Persephone finds herself in a contract with the god of the dead, and the terms are impossible. Persephone must create life in the underworld or lose her freedom forever. The bet does more than expose Persephone's failure as a goddess, however. As she struggles to sow the seeds of her freedom, love for the god of the dead grows, and it's forbidden. So this is the synopsis. I kind of thought at the beginning, oh no, please don't be a baby, please don't be a baby. And spoiler, click away now if you don't want to hear, it's not a baby. Thank God. Literally. And yeah, it's published in 2019 by Scarlett St. Clair, so she's the author. There are 4 books in total. I read 3 because the 4th book is not yet out. I heard different rumors that it will be out in fall this year or next year, so fingers crossed it will be this year, because it ends on a huge cliffhanger. Be aware of that as well. So yeah, in these 3 books, they kind of tell the tale of Hades and Persephone. Of course, you know, with fantasy romance, it's always a balance and a struggle to keep it as I don't want to say it's not a serious genre, because it is definitely, but to be honest, I always call that there are 2 different kinds of fantasy romance for me. It's the guilty pleasures with its heavy based on smut and explicit scenes, and the story is not that important. And there are then the books that are well thought out and have great characters and world building. And I would say this one is definitely the second one. So it's a great book. If you like Greek mythology and the other world or the underworld and the Greek pantheon, this is a great book for you. There's also a book which is written on Hades' perspective on the whole thing, but that was not my favorite, to be honest. So just read the regular ones. I put up the covers so that you can see how they look. So yeah, that was the first series I read. And it kind of made me addicted. So on to the next one. It is the series. It's also a series. It has 3 books. It's called The Broken Kingdoms. So actually it has 5 books, but the story I've read is in 3 books, and the next 2 books are a different story, which will be introduced in the last chapters of book 3. So to get you an idea about it is, I will read also the synopsis and put the covers up here. But it's kind of a long synopsis. So let me see what I can read to you. A bargain between enemies, a curse without an end, a love that will bring a kingdom to its knees. So then the first lines say, long ago, Elise's ancestors stole the crown from the Fae king. As the niece of the brutal current king, her purpose is to do whatever is asked to ensure her family keeps the throne for centuries to come. The trouble is, Elise would rather sneak into gambling halls with the servants than be a silent princess at a ball. Soon, reckless games are ended when her uncle forces her into negotiations for marriage. If she refuses, her deathly ill father will pay the price. Trapped by her sense of duty, Elise is given to the charge of Legion Grey, the handsome and mysterious dowry negotiator. But Legion holds more than her future in his hands. He incites her anger and forbidden passion. So, to stop here for a second, it's romance and love, but it has no explicit scenes, so you don't have to worry about it. They touch on that, but it's nothing described in detail or anything at all. Basically, it has no kind of these scenes at all, as I remember. So yeah, it's not that bad. And then it continues. When a coup upends the kingdom, Elise flees with Legion, only to discover he holds more secrets than anyone. Unknowingly, Elise sets in motion a beastly curse Legion has endured as long as he can remember. Literally. As secrets unravel about Legion's vicious past, questions rise over who has the true right to the throne. When answers come, more lives are put at stake, and Elise is forced to make an impossible choice. Avoid a bloody game by leaving Legion to the beast within, or end his curse and restore the magic to the land by sacrificing a life, hers. So, yes, that's basically it. Book 1 was great. Book 2, I wished was more fierce and more development in Elise's character, and a more, let's say, raging Legion Grey. But it's kind of on the softer side maybe, but it's just my opinion. Maybe I'm, yeah, I would have it a little bit more rougher, to be honest. And so the end of book 2 and book 3 kind of lost me a bit, because it leans more into strategy and war planning, and without spoiling too much, it's planning it out and to see the story through. But the end was kind of, I thought, why is this necessary? And so yeah, the end wasn't for me quite, but it's a good read if you are into story building, war strategies, and soft romance, I would say. So these are the 2 romance fantasy series I read, and I can't wait to get the last book of Hades and Persephone, and I also think I will read the other two of the Broken Kingdoms, but not yet, maybe in a couple of months. So the last fantasy romance book I've read is The Bride of the Shadow King, and I wouldn't have read this book if I knew that it was such a huge cliffhanger, and the next book comes in December, so I have to wait and to wait quite long. Maybe have to reread then the first one, but it's a great book actually, and the story is fascinating and captivating, and it keeps you in. So I've read it maybe in one evening or one night, because I tend to excessively read through the night and find myself at 5 a.m. thinking, why did you do that? So I will read the synopsis as well. It's by Sylvia Mercedes. And so, a shunned princess, a reluctant king, a marriage that could save both their kingdoms but destroy their hearts. So, you know, it's always the drama synopsis and stuff, but I'm a fan of this, to be honest. Though she's the oldest daughter, Princess Fae, I think that's how her name is pronounced, lives in the background, shunned from court and kept out of sight. Her chronic illness makes her a liability to the crown, and she has learned to give place to her beautiful, favored younger sister in all things. When the handsome and enigmatic Shadow King comes seeking a bride, Fae is not surprised that her sister is his choice. Though not eager to take a human bride, King Vor is willing to do what is necessary for the sake of his people. When he meets the lively Princess Ilsevel, he quickly agrees to a marriage arrangement. So why can't he get the haunting eyes of her older sister out of his head? When disaster strikes and the marriage alliance is compromised, Fae suddenly finds herself forced to take her sister's place. Regardless of her new husband's desires, I can read, I promise. Can she find a place at War's side as his queen, or is his heart forever close to the woman who deceived him so cruelly? So, it says here, passionate and alluring, Bride of the Shadow King is an arranged marriage tale with a dual point of view, his and hers. It's perfect for fantasy fans looking for a touch of spice to go with the sweet in their next swoony, low-burn romance. Okay, so the first book, it happens, there's nothing really that happens on the, what does it say here? For a touch of spice. So there's nothing really going on. I will say I wasn't sure about this kind of love triangle, but it's actually not. So don't be fooled by this kind of description. It's definitely not a love triangle. So it's just these two, the king and the Fae princess, who will take her sister's place. And yeah, so as I said, it ends on a major cliffhanger, be aware of that. But I really like the characters so far. And it says here the chronic illness makes her a liability to the crown. So I thought, okay, that's the first book I've read that mentioned chronic illness and how it affects one's life. But then quickly I came to notice it's not a actual illness. So be aware of that as well. But anyway, I recommend it. But wait maybe till the other book comes out. It has 498 pages. It's published March 15th, 2020. And I've read it on my laptop, on my Goodreads account. So let me know if you have a Goodreads account as well, and we can follow each other. I always love to see books people read and what their interests are, and how it shows in the books they read. So yes, that's all the fantasy romance books I've read. On to the next. This was a mystery crime book, and it's called If We Were Villains by M.L. Rio, and it's about a murder that has to be solved. And it's heavily based on Shakespeare, so literally when I say that. I will read the synopsis for you that you know what it's about. Oliver Marks has just served 10 years in jail for a murder he may or may not have committed. On the day he is released, he's greeted by the man who put him in prison. Detective Colbourne is retiring, but before he does, he wants to know what really happened a decade ago. As one of 7 young actors studying Shakespeare at an elite arts college, Oliver and his friends play the same role on stage and off. Hero, villain, tyrant, temptress, ingenue, extra. But when the casting changes and the secondary characters usurp the stars, the plays spill dangerously over into life, and one of them is found dead. The rest face their greatest acting challenge yet, convincing the police and themselves that they are blameless. So this book, it was published in 2017. It has 368 pages. This book is a slow crime mystery, but it was a good read, you know. It's at some point, or at least it was for me, at some point I knew, kind of, or I thought I knew what happened, and it was then as I thought. But it's anyway a good read, and there's love between female and male, so that's kind of interesting to read as well. So it's about the characters, you know, and how they keep you interested in and how you feel for them and with them. It's a good read. So, and I love to read the reviews on books, and the first review, it says, "Folks, when you come across this book, you'll hear a voice saying, 'Oh, this sounds interesting, do it.' That's the devil talking." And that's so appropriate because even it's these, oh, okay, so please be aware. As it said, it's on a Shakespeare art college, kind of, and they speak in this language a lot. So it's not only based in the old language, I call it the Shakespearean language for this book, but they do speak a lot in these sentences, and so you don't often know what they mean, or it is for me, because I don't, I'm not into Shakespeare, so please be aware of that, but it's interesting. And the review further says, "I hate this book so much I can't bear it. I tore it through, but I feel like it tore through me. The ending grabbed an invisible dagger and twisted it between my ribs." Okay, the ending, when I read this review, before I read the book, I was expecting much more, but the ending is bittersweet and unexpected, I will say. It's a great ending, and it's a great book. I really recommend it. And it's not gory, or any cruel things are in the book, so there's no issue with that if you're sensitive to this topic. Yeah, so this was the next book, and I really, I think I may reread it because I didn't get much of the Shakespeare sentences, but we will see. Okay, so now we have the 2 series, the Bride of the Shadow King and this one. So the next ones, I actually do have hard copies here, because the first one is one of my favorite movies of all time, and it's Howls Moving Castle by Diana Wynne Jones, and it's my all-time favorite movie. I watch it maybe at least 1 or 2 times a month. I love it, I really do. The book is quite different. So the difference is, on the movie, it's more focused on love and art or visual effects, and the book is more about story. It has a lot more characters and a lot more things, little missions and stories woven into one big one, you know. So it's a good read. I read it in the mornings mostly, or when I'm outside I take this with me. So I read the synopsis for you as well. it's pretty short. On a rare venture out from her stepmother's hat shop, Sophie attracts the attention of a witch who casts a terrible spell transforming the young girl into an old crone. And it was first published in 1986. So this edition, which I have, is published 2011. So in the first comment was the question, how does it compare to the movie? And I think this review sums it up perfectly. It says, I personally find the book much better than the movie. If the book never existed, I would say the movie was beautiful on its own, but the book leaves it in the dust. A lot more story and characters, much more humor, and very easy to get lost in. Overall, if you're more of an art and animation fan, the movie is the way to go. If you want more story, the book. So this is all I have to say to this. It's correct. So it's maybe the first book I'm saying this for, but I think actually the movie is in this case better. So let's just wait till the construction is done. Okay, so we have some construction outside, so I'm sorry for all the noise. And yeah, I really recommend the book. It's a kid's book actually. Okay, last book on the list is actually The Crooked Path. So this is a reread because it's just a good book actually. And when I got it, I thought, oh no, this is a book which is hyped so much. And I wasn't sure then if it's really good or if I should buy it, but I did. And it was really good. I was surprised on how much information this book has to offer and a different view of things. So it's great if you are into witchcraft and the possibilities that it holds. And it's an introduction to traditional witchcraft by Kelden, forward by Gemma Gary, and we all know who she is. If you're not, please Google her and read her books. So the blurb says, part the thorny bramble and take a walk along the bewitchingly mysterious crooked path. Within these pages, discover a wealth of hands-on tips and techniques to begin your journey into the realm of traditional witchcraft. Learn to weave a powerful personal practice that is informed by folklore and grounded in your own location and natural landscape. Along the way, you will find valuable information regarding the tools, rituals, and spells of this fascinating tradition, together with lessons on connecting with deities, familiar spirits, ancestors, and the spirits of place. With supportive advice and encouragement, Kelden provides everything you need to successfully navigate your own path, helping you master even advanced practices such as hedge crossing as you transform your day-to-day experience into life filled with magic and spirit. So it really does. So even if you're not on this side of traditional witchcraft or it's a little bit too extreme for you, it's a great resource for information to put in your own practice maybe. So it has a disclaimer, which I will read to you as well. The information contained in this book derives from historical and folkloric sources as well from personal experience. It is in no way meant to replace qualified medical care, including that provided by mental health professionals. So guys, this is really important for everything you do. The author and publisher are not liable for any injury. Okay, I think we can skip this. Then here it says, do not ingest poisonous or unfamiliar plants and take care when handling them. Please use your common sense when utilizing any of the practices discussed and consult the advice of a trained medical practitioner when necessary. So this is the disclaimer, and it has a lot of, it talks about body fluids and hair and body parts and stuff like that. But it's a great resource, even if you're not into that kind of witchcraft or practice. The reason why I have reread this is because I've started finally marking all the chapters and interesting things to put into my kind of collection of information. So maybe you can call it a grimoire. I'm really not using the term for it, but I think you can say it's something like that. So I will transfer this information, even if this information is not really particular new to me, but I like seeing it written down and know that other people do this as well and practice as well on the same path. So this is kind of where I'm leaning to, more in the traditional witchcraft theme, but not excessively. But I really like the information which is provided in this book. It's a recommendation for everyone who is in witchcraft and the occult, basically. So yeah, this is it for books. That was quite a journey. For next month, I will want to read more of the other genres, but we will see how it goes. I'm kind of hooked now on the romance fantasy stuff, but we will see next month. So now we move into tarot. And now I will show you all the decks that I got in April. Please don't judge me. I warn you. There are a lot of decks. Yeah, so let's get started. The first one I got in is the El-Goliath Tarot. I made a full walkthrough and first impressions video for it. And let me tell you, there have been quite some impressions already. The images are so powerful and they're just great for shadow work. I did some readings with it already and I must say they are spot on and hit home. So be aware of that. I feel like this is a video where I say be aware of that a lot. But yeah, it's something that you should know about this deck. It's honest and it's direct, and I think it should be. So it's the El-Goliath Tarot deck by Goliath, and I got this in, I think, middle of April. Next one, the first deck I got in April, is the Lilifer Tarot. You've seen it, I showed it all to you already. But I never get tired to show cards, so here are they. They are pretty. I feel like all the time when I show this deck, this card comes up. It's just so powerful and pretty. So, yes, this is the second deck that came in. Actually the first, because it was beginning of April, so I was really excited about it. This is addition to my collection. Then the next one is the Ancient Tarot de Marseille, because this month I started to dive into Marseille and pip decks, and I thought for the beginning it would be nice to have, you know, just a simple Marseille deck that you can get mass market. So I got it off from Amazon, and I love the colors. So here are the pentacles. I love the blues and the blacks. Yeah, so why is it upside down? So here you can see, and I look forward to get more into it soon. And on this note, I also got, I know I said I wouldn't get another Marseille deck till I studied it and comfortable, or at least to a point where I can read with it, but I also got the Keymaster Tarot in because I was browsing on Amazon, as we all do, and it caught my eye, and I thought, yes, that's the deck I need to have. These are the bags, and they are really pretty, black and gray and gold. I don't know if you can see. Yeah, awesome. And this is how the card looks like. So I feel this is kind of Egyptian themed. I haven't really looked into the deck as much because, as I said, I wanted to first learn the Marseille. But this is how the pips look, or the minor arcanas, with these gold lines and circles. And it's just a pretty deck, to be honest. And there's no shame in buying decks because they look pretty. Even if you're maybe not working with them, I think it's fine to buy them just to look at them and love them anyway. But I think I will make a whole video about this sometime in the future. Okay, so this is this deck, my two Marseille decks. No, stay there. Now the next one is an oracle deck, and this is the Hellenic Oracle by Thea from Garden Goddess Tarot, and it's her deck. She made it, obviously, and she took all these great art paintings and transformed them into this oracle and named them, or wrote the name of the person or god or goddess, demigod, or all the other figures, and also has the original pronunciation from Greece, which is really great. And there's no keywords or guidebook for it, but I think it's not necessary actually for this, or at least not for me, because I want to use it as a, or to restart my research in the Greek pantheon. And I will show you on the way. I take you along on the way. So now I got it. Look at this. This is pretty. Selene, goddess of the moon. So yeah, this is the Hellenic Oracle. It has over 90 cards, I guess. And just pretty images. Just pretty images. So we will link all the decks and books below so you can buy them as well. I'm really excited about this, really. It's a really good job. Look at Aries. So pretty. So I will show you in the future how I used it and worked with it, and my research, how that looks. I think that's, so for me, I always like to watch videos where people show how they work with a deck, or how they research things, and how their journey of learning and evolving goes. So I think that's a video we'll make for this deck as well. Okay, so the last deck, is it the last deck? Yes, it is the last deck that came in. And it is the Mystic Masters 2nd edition by Danny, from Danny Mystic. And it's also the same idea. So she took all the paintings but overlaid them with her own art, which I think it's just great. So you can see the colors and the texture. And then she made it into a tarot deck, which is awesome. Look at Judgment. And then you can also see the does it focus maybe when my face is not? Okay, though it doesn't want to focus at the moment, but you can see there are some symbols into the cards as well. And I think you can dive deep pretty. What is with my words today? I think you can dive deep with this deck. I haven't read the guidebook yet, but I will do shortly. And I make a video about this too. I have one in mind already. So if you hang around, you will see that one probably in May. Yeah, it's just a pretty deck, and I love this. And I don't know why I waited so long to get it. So now I got it, and I'm excited to work with it. So these are all the decks I got in April. And yeah, my favorite one, oh no, I don't want to choose actually. My favorite one is probably the Lilifer, because I use it so much. It's also the deck I used most in April. The Lilifer, and along with the NRK. Let me show you. So this is the NRK. I showed this in my last video, the VR to Kyra. But it was, April had a lot going on. And so this is a deck which soothed me, and when shit hits the fan, it's a comforting deck for me to use. So that's why I used it so much in April. So yeah. And my favorite book, let me think about it. It's probably the one, the mystery and crime, the If We Were Villains. And yeah, I really recommend them all, to be honest, and all the tarot decks as well. I will keep you updated. And let me think, was there anything else I wanted to say for April? Oh yes, I started this channel and I'm so excited and I'm happy about it and I have so much fun doing it. And I'm glad you're here with me on the journey, so thank you. Yeah, this is April Memoirs. I don't think I have anything else. No. So let's wrap this up. Thank you for watching and have a great day. Bye.